If
Wow.
this isn't child abuse, I cannot tell you how upset I was when I found it. And this is at the end, and I have the link right there. You can go to Pennsylvania Functional Behavioral Assessment. This is the last page in that functional behavioral assessment. Now, I'm going to warn all of you parents out there, this is exactly what they're doing in the grade schools. This is exactly what's going to happen all through school. Now, think about this. If we condition your children, if we continue to manipulate their behavior, their personalities, we are talking about drone ants. We are talking about converting individual, artistic, well-rounded children into these, I guess I'm going to say, cookie cutter molds, okay? They're going to be cookie cutter molds where everyone thinks alike. And
Anita, I'm listening to what you're saying there. You know, I have two small children. I have a 3-year-old and I have a almost 7-month-old child. And I'm thinking, like, I am blown away at the level of manipulation that you just revealed.
It is. Now remember, well, I was speechless too as I continue to research, and of course, my research is very well documented. No matter where anyone gets my articles, either from the Twitter or from Googling or whatever, remember that I always have the documents and the page numbers there. You can go right to any of these links. You know, this is not a story. This is not a fabrication. This is something that you can look for yourself. Now, remember, when Obama came out and he was saying, we need equity, right? We need equity in education. How are we going to create the equity? How do we make everyone the same? How do we do this? And this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this equity in education. Okay, everyone has to be taught the same, all the data has to be the same, all the curriculum has to be the same, all the tests have to be the same in order to create these drone children. What can you do? Well, the first thing you can do is opt out of all those state tests, okay? There's a great big nationwide movement to opt out of all of the state tests. Don't allow this huge metallic beast, this federal database, to collect the information on your children. So the first thing you can do is opt out. This is another thing I wrote just recently. It's called The Parent Spring, Opt Out America. You can Google that. The Parent Spring, Opt Out America. It tells you how to opt out of the state assessments. And you can use the documentation there. The second thing we have to do you realize that inside these laws, this new reauthorization, they've changed medical records to health records. Why? Because you collect health records and education records, right? So guess what? HIPAA, the privacy part of your health records, do not cover an education record, correct? So now what happens? Realize that all of this psychological data and this behavioral data that they're collecting comes under FERPA. Remember what I said before, the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. Because of the Obama executive order, it's 12866, they allow all of this personally identifiable information to be shared. This is how Pearson got that information on the child that tweeted about the state assessment. So one thing we need to do is contact your representatives about allowing HIPAA, okay, that's the privacy under a health record to cover an education record. We've got to protect our children, okay? The other thing that I'm just adamant about, we must call every day to Congressman Klein's office, to Senator Alexander's office, and to Senator Casey's office, and you tell them no to ESEA. No way are you going to have my children for research. No way are you going to collect psychometric profiles, dossiers on our children. We must say no today, every day, in the next week.
This is already being implemented in Pennsylvania, correct? This exact format? Oh, right. We'll be right back. We're going to get the answer to that question on the other side. You're listening to The Power Hour with Anita Hoge. Back to The Power Hour. I'm your guest co-host, Gary Franchi, sitting with Joyce Riley. We're getting ready to wrap up this show. Our guest, Anita Hoge, and the revelations being transmitted across America today about this program are frightening, but you do not need to fear. There is something that you can do. First, you need to tell a friend about the Power Hour. Get a copy of this hour, get a copy of this show, whether it's on CD-ROM, MP3, and share it, because we need to stop this action right now. Anita, give us a few action items that our listeners can do right now as they're listening to this program.
Well, first of all, you need to be listening to your children. Remember, when they come home and they complain or they say something, you better listen a little closer, because that's exactly what happened with my children. The first thing you need to do is opt out of the state test. Okay, so if your kid is getting ready to take a state test, probably in the next week or so, and possibly last week. But anyway, there is a nationwide movement to opt out of the test. Do not allow the government to have all of the information on your children. And remember, they cross-reference this information with all the demographic information, the census data that they get. So they know, not only where you live and your telephone number, your zip code, and how many children are living in your home, but they also are collecting the psychometric data, the data on the attitudes, values, and personalities of your children. So what that means, what the parents have taught their children. Okay, so that's very important. Opt out wherever you can. Go to The Parent Spring. Google The Parent Spring, Opt Out America, and you can get the background information. The second thing, most important thing, right in the next week and the following week, Congress is bringing forward the reauthorization of No Child Left Behind. This is what we must stop immediately. You need to call Congressman Klein, K-L-I-N-E, and Senators Alexander and Senator Casey, and you tell them to stop the reauthorization of ESEA, E-S-E-A. This is the No Child Left Behind reauthorization. So this is the main thing this week. Opt out of the information, opt out of the test, and call and stop this federal legislation. And realize, this is really interesting. This education bill is bigger than Obamacare. And have you heard about this in the news? Absolutely not. This is
yes,
bigger.
The silence is certainly deafening. The mainstream media is ignoring this, and that's why we're transmitting it now. That's why we are waking up America to these facts. Joyce, I know you're sitting there going,
yeah, I know. We got a job ahead of us, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about sharing this information, and all I can say is, Anita, you're incredible in what you have done, and thank you for sharing this with us, because we have a road ahead of us that if we do not address this, then we're going to get exactly what we deserve. Anything else that we can do now to stop this?
Well, right now, we have to stop the legislation. This is the key. And the other thing is monitoring your children, what's going on. You need to go to the school. You need to ask them what kind of interventions they're doing, okay? What we found is that the federal legislation changed so that all children are going to be at risk. Okay, and that's because of Common Core. So if all children are at risk, that means all children are going to be remediated in some way.
Okay, thank you.
No normal.
There's no normal. I love that. No, I don't, ladies and gentlemen. It's up to you, and it's up to me. It's all about doing the next right and honorable thing. And you are certainly doing that, Anita Hoge. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Power Hour.
Thank you, Joyce.
We'll have you back on again. Definitely have you back on again.